Hey, what's up, everybody? And thank you for listening to Operation Agency Freedom, where we are bringing you top secret advice from the world's most badass digital agency owners. These amazing men and women are sharing their stories of how they have built 6, 7, and 8-figure digital agencies and how you can too. My name is Chris Martinez, CEO of Dude, where we help digital agencies by giving them the people and the processes so they can take on more websites and scale profitably. And today I'm really excited about today's guest because I was listening to a podcast that he did a while back, and he just started going like really deep into processes and efficiency. And that's my freaking jam. Like, that's my thing. And it's not the most sexy part of running a business, but if you've been doing this for a long time, you know that it is just like so unbelievably important. And what I say is, like, after you've been doing this a little while, like, sales is the easy part. Getting the work done in having it done like efficiently and profitably, that's where you make all the money. So I want to welcome to the show Vin D'Eletto. He is the owner of WordAgents.com. Welcome, Vin.
Thanks, Chris. I'm happy to be here, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. And you're coming to us live from Long Island.
Yes, sir. Just about 30 minutes outside of New York City.
I've never been there before. I've been to Manhattan a few times, but I never actually stepped off of Manhattan. Which I'm not proud of, but
Most people in the city don't know Long Island either, so you're not alone. Everybody knows Manhattan and then the Hamptons, and Long Island is like right in the middle of the two.
nice. Well, we start off every show with a little roundtable discussion, and we're going to talk about something that I'm definitely passionate about and you're passionate about. We're both dog lovers. So you have a German short-haired pointer, and I think you said his name is Bruce Wayne.
Yes, sir. Me and my wife, we got him about 2.5 years ago, and he's my best buddy. Since I got my office out in my home here,
Yeah.
Bruce is hanging out with me all day long,
Dude,
and
that's awesome, man.
it's pretty cool.
Now, where did your love of dogs come from? Was it always something that you love dogs ever since you were a kid?
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. Everybody wants that first dog, and we got ours when I was like 11 or 12, and I've always had a dog ever since, more or less. So they've just been a part of my life.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always been a dog lover. And then I had a dog when I was a kid, and my mom actually gave her away when I was at soccer practice. So I'm still
That's
angry about that. But then when I got older, actually not too long after my dad died, I ended up getting my first dog, which was my dog, golden retriever. We named her Nola. And I mean, God, just my best friend, like you mentioned, like my absolute. She was like the rock in my life, going through a bunch of crazy stuff that had happened, as well as starting this business. And then she passed away in 2017, actually on her 10th birthday. But we had such an amazing day that day, and she had some health problems too, so we knew that we were on borrowed time, but it still sucks. And then we had my fiance, she had a golden retriever, and then we lost that dog last October, and now we have two puppies now. So we have a 1-year-old who's a mutt. She was a street dog down here in Mexico, and then our another golden that we named Nala. I'm sorry, Nona. Nala was the last one. So we have Lily and we have Nona now. So, like when it comes to having a dog, like I think it's so important as a business owner to have a dog, because it's somebody that's just like, it's something that's always happy. And, like our lives, there's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs. And like,
Yeah.
what has your experience been having Bruce Wayne there for you?
Well,
Just kind of be a pick me up.
that's a good point. I'm a big fan of the tomato timer for efficiency.
Uh-huh.
So when I take my breaks, I always just run outside and hang out with him and
Yep.
have a seltzer or something, or chase him around the backyard. So he's my buddy. Like, just the breed is very smart, so you can tell that he has a high understanding of what's going on around him. He understands a lot of what we say to him, and he's just like my counterpart. He's hanging out all the time.
That's awesome. What's his favorite thing to do?
Tug.
Tug of war?
Yeah,
Nice.
tug of war. He's a German short-haired pointer, so they're hunting dogs, and
Uh-huh.
you know, um, I always told my wife that would be his first word if he could speak. It would be tug, just because he wants the roughhouse all day long.
Nice. Now, do you have kids?
No, not yet. we're talking about that. That's on a very close horizon, I think.
Nice. Are you ever concerned about how the dog would get along with with the kids?
Nah, he's sweet as can be. No aggression whatsoever, especially for a hunting dog. Um, he's been they run into squirrels and birds, and he doesn't even know what to do when he comes face to face with them. So I don't think he'll have any problem, socializing with kids.
Nice. Yeah, it's like the wheels are turning, but I don't know what to do.
Exactly, exactly.
My dog Nola, I mean, she was like the biggest baby ever. But there was one time there was a dead lizard in our backyard, and I couldn't figure out if she had accidentally killed it or if it was already dead. But she was like depressed for like a
uh,
week.
that
She's
stinks.
like, I don't know what happened, but it's dead. It's
Yeah, it
so
was a
funny.
similar thing. We had an injured bird in our driveway, and I went to go let him out, and I didn't know it was there, but he just ran up to it and he started like nosing it, and he could tell something was wrong, so he just left it alone, and it kind of
Oh,
just went about his own way.
nice. Awesome, man. Well, I want to get into word agents because I was doing some research on your company. Started out from nothing, from what it sounds like, and now I don't know how many employees you have, but I've seen some numbers that says like around 500, which is just incredible. And just the whole like inner workings and all the moving parts of that. Like I can't wait to dive into that. So just really quickly, tell us what it is that you're doing at Word Agents.
Sure, man. So I'm in the world of SEO. Back in 2008, 2009, I wanted to get into creating these revenue generating websites via SEO arbitrage.
Mhm.
And to support that, I was started to write articles for other people's websites to kind of cover the cost of SEO marketing.
Yeah.
And I very quickly realized what kind of demand there was for content creation. So
Right.
that's how Word Agents got started. It was just I started hiring other writers just to help me out to deal with the demand. And it wasn't until 2014 that we officially made WordAgents.com and made it an official business. But what we do is we're an all-American content creation agency that specializes in SEO optimization. So that all that means is we'll take your keywords that you want to rank on search engines, and we'll create content around them to give it the best possible chance of ranking well and driving that organic traffic that everybody wants. So right now we have about 200 writers, American writers on our team, and our goal, like you said, is to get to about 500 writers by the end of 2020.
That's amazing. So talk about at the beginning when you were getting started, because having a team of 200, that's just like unfathomable, and
Yeah,
also like something
yeah.
that most people don't even want. But like, how did it talk about the beginnings and kind of how you started to scale at the early on?
Yeah, I didn't have any kind of formal education in business. I got a business admin degree from my local community college. So it was a lot of fumbling in the dark and just trying to figure things out as I went. And the way I structured it, just using my own noggin, was we launched like a boutique agency.
Hmm.
I was in contact with every single client. I was trying to be everything to every client, and that really created a ceiling for us, just because everything was going through me. I was the bottleneck, and we had no technology. Everything was run on spreadsheets and emails. So that was like really like 2009 to like 2015, 16. And then around 15, 16 is when we really, tried to get serious. And we started working towards a relaunch, which actually just happened in April of this year.
What was like the catalyst back in 2015, 16 that where you really just decided, hey, this is something that I really need to see through because I believe in it. What was that one
Yeah, I
thing that
mean,
kind of pushed you
I
there?
was making good money. I mean, I was maybe 29, 30, and I just bought my house, and the money was good, but the time was bad. Like I was working like 12 hours a day,
Hmm.
and uh, and I was getting real frazzled because it was getting to the point where things were dropping because I couldn't keep up with it all. So it set me off on a path to figure out how to keep that revenue level up there, but also buy my time back. So that's really what kicked it off.
Gotcha. One of the things that I like is, and I don't know if this is part of your tagline, but how you talk about how you use American writers, which, for us, like our team is in Mexico. We lean really, really hard into the offshore support that we provide. But I can definitely see the importance of having American writers, because I've tried to like outsource content overseas and there's always something missing. There's just something when you have somebody who's grown up in the States, the way that they communicate, the little like nuances that we use in our language. You really do
That's
need that.
that's exactly it. It's just the nuances and understanding the culture, and you know, clients can't really outline those expectations in the instructions because it's kind of an intangible there. So that's a big part of why we use American writers. And also in my industry in SEO content, that's what we do.
Hmm.
There's a bad stigma about using outsourced writers from overseas because
Yeah.
in the early days, a lot of guys were getting wise and they were booking like third world country writers because of the currency arbitrage, and they were trying to make extra profit that way. But in order to rank on Google in this environment, you need some really high quality content that not only satisfies the Google triggers and the Google ranking factors, but also is human friendly and really speaks to the intent of the audience. So we kind of try to position ourselves in the middle, but satisfying Google, but also putting out great, valuable content that people will walk away. You know, they walk away with something after reading it.
Yeah. Have you ever considered, I mean, are most of your clients here in the States?
We're multinational. I was actually just talking about this morning. I would say U.S., U.K., and Australia are our
Yeah.
biggest client bases, but we also get a lot of Eastern European and Northern European as well.
Interesting. Have you ever thought about expanding to those other countries so that you can get even more of like cultural like relevance in the writing?
Yeah, man. We would love to expand multinationally with multiple languages too, but it's going to take a lot of elbow grease to get there.
Yeah,
So
that's its own challenges for
yeah,
sure.
right now we're just focusing on our core product.
Nice. Have you ever gotten any pushback from people, about that? I can't imagine that you would, but
Um, oh,
once in a
I
while,
mo-
maybe it
mo-
happens.
only pushback about writers from overseas that want to work from us, and some of them get very nasty about it. They think it's like a race thing or something like that, but it's not. It's just what our clients expect, and we just gently let them know.
Gotcha. So, what are some of the evaluation standards that you have for bringing on new writers? Like, how does that interview process look like?
Sure. We get a lot of applications, like 300 to 500 applications for every advertisement that we put out there. So we built a shortlisting system through the application itself. On the application, we have lots of yes or no questions,
Hmm.
and essentially, if the applicant answers no to any of those yes or no questions, they're automatically cut.
Kicked out. Yeah.
So that cuts me down to about 150 applications. Then we request a sample, and every one of those, you know, the people that agree to the sample, every single one of those is manually reviewed by our talent manager, and she shortlists further, and then the final yes or no gets it's a group decision between me and my leadership team.
Gotcha. Now, I'm guessing that your staff are not in-house, that they're scattered throughout the United States.
Yeah, so my leadership team is my director of content.
Hmm.
He's actually one of my best friends for a very long time now.
Nice.
But he handles really the client side of operations,
Hmm.
and then our other member of the leadership team is our talent manager, and she's a recent hire to this year, and she's really involved in the production side of operations. So she's hiring, firing, managing, answering questions, quality assurance, that kind of thing. And then I'm like the sales guy, and I'm out there generating business for us.
Perfect. As we're recording this, it's middle of June, and in some ways we're coming out of the pandemic. In many ways, in many ways, we're still in the midst of the pandemic. But working remote and maintaining that company culture and just being able to operate your business remote has been a big challenge for most companies. I think I read a statistic that prior to the coronavirus, it was like a 20% of the workforce was working remote. And then once the pandemic hit, it was like 80%. So what are some of the things that you've done to manage your team remote? Not just now, but even as you've grown your agency.
Yeah, so we didn't really have any kind of we didn't have to pivot at all because of that, because we've been
Yeah.
remote since the beginning. And so it's been business as usual. So but we did have to deal with like the downturn in the economy a little bit. So that required some pullback on the writing team. But it's already come back. So all of the writers that were laid off have been rehired, and we're business as usual. So fortunately, knock on wood, the pandemic didn't really affect us all that much.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the reasons why so many companies fail at working remote and running a remote
Oh
workforce?
yeah, it took me personally a long time just to create my routine at home, coming from an office lifestyle. Um, you just have that built-in 9 to 5, and your body gets used to it. But when you get to your home office or your remote office, wherever it might be, you have to kind of artificially, let your body know what your routine is. So creating that routine was a challenge for me. And then also really kind of just instilling that in everybody on my team, whether it be the leadership team, the team managers, or the writers themselves, that hey, we're not going to be hovering over you like a boss at a traditional job. It's really on you to be responsible enough to get your work done that you committed to. And it doesn't take too long to get them on that page. And the ones that have trouble with it, just aren't with us for too long.
Yeah. Are there any tools or technology or processes that you use to make sure that people are held accountable?
Yeah, I mean, we've experimented with time tracking software.
Hmm.
That's okay. Ended up being not necessary.
Hmm.
What we do is we just have plenty of huddles throughout the week, just to talk about what's going on. We have a Wednesday morning huddle, and
Hmm.
then we have a weekly email thread and Skype chat, and that kind of we just start a new one up every week just to deal with the ongoings and whatever pops up for that week. So I'm very much in touch with everybody all day long,
Hmm.
but we're just location independent.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like from what I gathered on your website that the products that you serve or that you sell are pretty, straightforward. It's like 1,000 words for this. And, so do you guys have like a target that each writer has to hit in terms of like word count or number of articles, something?
No, I kind of did the reverse. Like after like 5 to 6 years of just doing it as a bespoke agency, where we
Uh-huh.
kind of just did project-based work,
Yeah.
I got a really good feel for how many articles each writer can put out, and this was like database, so I just
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
looked at the numbers,
Yeah.
and for us, it's like about each writer can handle about 4 articles a week.
Okay.
Anything more than that, we noticed that quality
Quality goes
drop
down.
down,
Yep.
and also anything more than that really overwhelmed the team leader that was in charge of managing the writer.
Yep.
If each of their writers did more than 4, we found that they could their production went down overall as a team. So we just use data. I guess that's the answer to help us make our decisions.
Perfect. I love it. What's the, just curious because, like all our submission portal for our clients is built on Freshdesk. Is there a particular platform that you guys use to manage all the requests from your clients?
Yeah, so we have got our tech stack just grew exponentially
Hmm.
this year. So we're using a platform called Service Provider Pro,
Okay.
and that is our client dashboard and project management system. It's
Nice.
also like our help desk and ticketing
Hmm.
system as well. We're using Active Campaign for email marketing and our CRM. They've got a slick little pipeline system in there for
Hmm.
sales.
Hmm.
We just onboarded Drift for a live chatbot, and it's really like an AI chatbot. Still optimizing that. Um, and I'm about to onboard a reporting system called Wicked Reports,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's really kind of like a custom KPI system that I can customize for my business as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know the guys at Wicked Reports.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually just learned about them this week, so we're running towards them.
Awesome. Yeah, a buddy of mine, John, I met him at a trade show, and so he was. I think he's their sales guy. I'm not 100% sure, but after the trade show, He's like, I'm going to go down to Tijuana. I'm flying out tomorrow. And I'm like, dude, let's go out. Cause we're located down here in Tijuana.
Oh,
So we'll do
I
that.
use a great bookkeeper too, Bench.co. I would
Oh,
love to
okay.
shout them out. They're awesome and they make my life so easy. So Bench has been great.
We were literally just looking at using them yesterday, because my fiance is our head of finance, but there's so many of little like bookkeeping details
Yeah.
that are just time consuming, and that it's not the best use of her time if we can find somebody for a few $100 a month to do that stuff.
Yeah, I actually I own a few businesses, so I have 4 different accounts with them, and I'm happy with all of them. And we're going to be moving WordAgents to the Profit First account management
Oh
system.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So they're familiar with that, and we just have to find a Profit First professional who will become our accountant. And between the accountant and bench, like my financial data is going to be on point.
That's awesome, man. Well, I want to switch gears just a little bit. We've only got a few minutes left, but when it comes to content creation, as you mentioned before, it's a bottleneck for a lot of people. Like for some reason, people are intimidated by writing, or they just suck at it. Why do you think so many people have an issue or a challenge with creating content?
Because writing for the web isn't like academic writing.
Hmm.
We if for us for those of us that have went through high school and college, we know essays and research papers and all that kind of stuff. But when you write for the web, it has to be conversational and it has
Hmm.
to address the intent of the audience, and that's really a big thing that Google wants to see, that you're answering the question that the reader is asking, and also you understand where in the sales funnel they are, whether it be top, middle, or bottom, and then you need to craft your writing around that using that knowledge. And I think that's just something that most people don't have their heads wrapped around. So then they kind of run into a brick wall because they'll write what they think might work, and they don't get results from it, and then they get discouraged.
Gotcha. Are there any tips that you have for creating content for your average Joe out there?
Yeah, we specialize in SEO content, so
Hmm.
basically that just means content that's going to rank for keywords on Google. But if you want to take this on yourself, we always say that Google is already showing their hand. So if you can plug in the keyword that you want to rank for and search for that on Google, and the top 5 pages are articles that Google wants to see. They're doing it right. So if you kind of emulate what's those top 5 pages for your keyword, both in writing style and length and the actual information that's provided, that's a very quick way to gain traction in as far as rankings go.
Now, our listeners are mainly agencies, and I know that a sticking point for them is also content creation. Do you have any advice for the agency owners out there? Because here's what happens when it comes to creating content, right? So if the agency offers to do it for the client, it gets created, it goes back to the client. The client usually says, "This doesn't sound like me," and then they'll like delay it for freaking ever.
Yeah,
And then on
yeah.
the other side, if the agency says, "Okay, we need to create new content," and the client says, "Okay, I'll write the content myself." And then, of course, they never get around to writing it. And we're waiting 6 months, a year, just for the freaking copy. So, in your expert experience, what are some things that agencies specifically can do to get around those hurdles?
Yeah, sure. I mean, those 2 points specifically, those need to be worked out in your contracts. I mean, you have to set expectations right from the get-go that, um, hey, if we're going to create content for you, this is what you can expect, X, Y, and Z. You should have a quality guarantee. You should quantify spelling and grammar somehow. Let them know that.
What's a quality guarantee? I've never heard of that before.
That's kind of like I misspoke. It's quality is really the spelling and grammar guarantee. And
Okay.
how do you qualify that, right? Um, we do that through Grammarly.com. It's a proofreading tool. So we say
Uh-huh.
that every one of our articles is going to score X on Grammarly.com, and that's a great baseline to come to an agreement with a client, and instead of kind of living in the ether of what's correct and what's incorrect. So we have that in our service guarantee and our contracts, that our proofreading guarantee is to score 90% or better on Grammarly, and that works for most clients. And that kind of removes any gray area from evaluation and expectation setting. So that's if you're going to be handling the content yourself. And if the clients are going to be handling it for them, you have to have some timelines in your contract. If you don't get us the content they requested by a so and so date, maybe there's a financial hit. Maybe they have to pay an extra fee, or maybe the project just gets dropped. As an agency owner, you don't want to be waiting on clients and
Yeah.
potentially getting a negative review because they failed to do what they needed to do. So you really need that in your contract.
Awesome, man. Love it. Great advice. I love the Grammarly thing. I've never even thought about doing that one. So awesome. Well, thanks, Vin, so much for being on the show. What is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
I'm everywhere, but I'd say that the best way to get in contact with us about WordAgents is just go to wordagents.com. We've got some great people in a brand new Drift chatbot that you can chat with. Or if you just want to talk to me directly, Vincent at wordagents.com, and I'll get back to you within one day.
Awesome. Final question. Who would be the perfect person to reach out to you today?
Oh man, I would say a huge agency owner with hundreds of clients that wants to outsource all of their content fulfillment to word agents.
Perfect.
uh, that would be great, just because right now we've got growth on the mind, and the sky's the limit.
Man, if I hadn't just sold my agency, then I probably would have taken you up on that offer.
I appreciate that, man.